All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really cool new model, a new way to understand what might be the most complex thing in the universe, our own minds. So, let's start with a question. You know that feeling of being super focused at work? How different is that from, say, the absolute chaos of a dream or the frantic feeling of anxiety? They feel like totally different worlds, right? Well, what if they're not? What if they're all just different places on the exact same map? Okay, so to build this map of our mind, we have to start with the absolute smallest piece, the most fundamental building block of, well, everything we experience. And here it is. It's called an image unit. Now, this is the core idea from something called the Brain Kinematics Model. The idea is that everything you experience, a memory popping up, seeing a friend's face, that little pang of worry, it's all made of these tiny little image units. Seriously, think of them like the pixels that create the entire picture on the screen of your mind.
And every single one of these little pixels, every thought or feeling, goes through this simple three-step dance. First, ignition. It just pops into your awareness. Then, propagation. It starts connecting to other related ideas, pulling them in. And finally, dissolution. It fades away, making room for the next one. This super simple process, happening over and over, is what creates that constant, flowing river of your thoughts.
So that's the what. But what about the how? What's actually controlling how these mental pixels behave? You know, how many pop up, how fast they connect with each other, how quickly they fade out? Well, it turns out the brain has a few key control knobs that it's constantly adjusting.
The first big one is something called connectivity. The easiest way to think about this is like your brain's internal internet speed. It's the bandwidth of your mind. And let me tell you, changing that speed totally transforms what it feels like to be you.
And this is where things get really relatable. So, look at this. When your connectivity is low, your thoughts feel sparse, kind of weak. That's brain fog, right? We've all been there. When it's balanced, that's just our normal, everyday waking thoughts, clear and coherent. But when it goes into hyperconnectivity, whoa, your brain becomes like an echo chamber. One little thought triggers 10 more, and you get that crowded, racing, intrusive feeling. It all just comes down to the connection speed.
Okay, so we've got the connection speed, but that's not the whole story. The next set of controls are the modulators. Think of these as the brain's chemical volume and tone knobs. We're talking about neurotransmitters, blood flow, even the fluid that's bathing our brain cells. It's a whole chemical cocktail that fine-tunes our experience.
And check this out. Each chemical has a specific job. Dopamine, for example, it doesn't create a thought, but it makes that thought feel important. It gives it salience. Glutamate helps that thought spread and connect. And GABA, it's like the brakes. It suppresses the extra noise and keeps things tidy. The really crucial thing to get here is that these chemicals aren't writing the music. Your memories and experiences are, but they are absolutely conducting the orchestra. They control the tempo, the intensity, the whole vibe of your inner world.
All right, let's recap. We've got our building blocks, those image units, and we've got the control knobs, connectivity, and all those chemical modulators. So now we can finally put it all together and pull back the curtain on the actual map of consciousness.
It's pretty wild, but this model suggests that any conscious state, seriously, from deep sleep to intense focus to wild dreaming, it can all be described by how just 4 key variables interact with each other.
And these 4 variables are basically the coordinates on our mental map. First, image density. How many thoughts or feelings are active at once? Is your mind crowded or empty? Second, image pop-up rate. How quickly are new thoughts appearing? Third, emotional intensity. How much of a punch do those thoughts pack? And fourth, neural synchronization. How well are all the different parts of your brain working together to create a coherent picture? The specific blend of these 4 things, well, that's what defines any given moment of your conscious life.
So these variables, they become the axes of our map. And now we can do something really cool. We can start taking those experiences we talked about, dreaming, anxiety, focus, and actually plot them as specific coordinates in this space.
So take a look. Deep sleep, that's way down in the corner. Very low image density, very low emotional intensity. Normal waking life is kind of in the middle, pretty balanced. But look at this. Dreaming and anxiety are both high on the charts for image rate and emotional intensity. And this offers a totally new way to think about mental health. Anxiety isn't some mysterious fog. It's a specific state of a high pop-up rate and high intensity. And depression? It's not about feeling nothing. It's about being stuck in a part of the map with very low image generation, an impoverished mental landscape.
This right here is maybe the best example of how this map works. Let's compare creative insight and mania. In both states, you have a flood of new ideas, high image density, high pop-up rate. So what's the difference? It all comes down to that fourth variable, neurosynchronization. In a creative flash, your brain is highly synchronized. It can grab all those new, different ideas and weave them together into something new and meaningful. But in mania, that synchronization is unstable and excessive. The thoughts are coming so fast that the brain just can't keep up. It can't integrate them. The train has gone off the rails.
Okay, so we've got this really elegant map of the mind. It's a fantastic model. But what's the big deal? Why does this actually matter? What's the takeaway here?
This quote right here really nails it. Conscious clarity, that feeling of being sharp and on top of things, it isn't about having the most brain activity. A mind that's just buzzing with a million thoughts isn't a better mind. The real sweet spot, true clarity, comes from balance. It's the balance between new ideas popping up and your brain's ability to calmly and coherently put them all together.
And that right there is a total game changer for how we think about mental health. Instead of looking at something like anxiety or depression as a broken part in the brain, we can see them for what they are, predictable locations on this map. They're just states where the whole dynamic system has fallen out of balance. It gives us a unified way to understand how all these things, mania, depression, even just our everyday experiences of brain fog, are all related.
And maybe the biggest idea here is that consciousness isn't some ladder that goes from low to high. That's just not how it works. It's a vast, multidimensional landscape, a terrain that we are all navigating every single moment of every day. Your mind isn't just on or off. It's constantly moving around this map, shifting its location with every thought, every emotion, every dream.
So that leads to the final question, really. If your mind is a map, where are you on it right now? Because this whole framework isn't just some abstract theory. It's a tool for self-awareness. You can actually start to notice your own inner state. Is my image density high right now? Is my pop-up rate fast? Is my emotional intensity cranked up? Because understanding the terrain of your own mind, that's always the first step to navigating it better. Thanks for exploring this with me.